Kids are in the park tonight,
Are they?
back to school night.
History of East Hempfield.
Yeah, really.
I'm good.
They listed somewhere.
What that?
Yes.
How are you?
Model T.
Right. Not me, man. I got no. They were kind of perfect setting. Did you really?
No
Oh,
concern about how you pass on it now.
Right, right. Didn't matter.
And I
Yeah,
understand
make it
why
right
we
there.
need to do that, right?
Right.
Well, they took all those things on a mess.
Yeah.
Bud place with all the broken pot.
Maybe it's.
From computer and forgot the ring.
Oh, no. The last case.
Which is
It's
nice.
listed just as village.
That's what we should be.
Right. Yep.
Level it. It's also starting businesses.
Central. It needs to be clarified.
My position for a year.
Always never done.
Exactly. It's very fitting.
I can finally say yes to you that I've been to row, but
Were you down? I was gonna say.
more than a week
Nice.
You?
We down this to.
for the first week in September.
Okay. Nice. So you had pretty good weather, right? First week was pretty decent.
It went up and down.
Yeah,
It
no
went
kidding.
up and down. One day we had wind that was really, it was a hurricane.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one where the attorney. Yeah, okay. Yes, that is the one with it. Right. What was the other
Sand
one?
starts to get
Yeah,
abrasive.
just kind of, yeah, exactly.
Sandblasted.
I had something, because I had Beth send it to me. It was on my computer, but yeah, I had the cases there. Hard to get down with kids. Oh, it's the community college. Sure. Make sure you open the right ones. Right away. When you're down there. Capital.
It's just a lot of fun.
It is. You can't see it unless you're right on that shit. 19 agenda.
Be a weekend. trip. An extra day.
And make sure you pull the late one up too. So you can't see.
Oh, okay.
Agenda on. So, good call. Okay, we'll get through it. Okay. What do I need to do here? Here's your password.
You put all caps in for HT.
Save you from getting an error message.
The HTPC.
Yeah, it's simple.
What do I want to go to?
You wanna go up, did you clicked on this, go up, it's right here, yeah, you're right there.
No, that's.
Okay, now
on the one you
You wanna
want.
do.
Yeah.
Do we go up to edge?
The one that says.
Oh, no, no, here, this one.
Thing on the far right.
Now, click on this again.
Yeah.
Gotta find- click on-
I was trying to find it.
What I did was I went up to the top. Okay, I'm in that, now what I do?
Oh, well, how'd you get in that?
I don't know, I hit this thing.
Yeah. Did it come up with your Google Drive?
Put it in the recents, maybe there'll be some other ones that are on there. that'll bring a whole thing.
Did you go to the thing at the bottom?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, well.
That's not it either.
Courtney to go over there?
That's right up top.
The inside of an avocado, what is that?
Yeah, that's not.
Keep hitting it.
Mine popped right up.
Isn't there? There should be.
We
you should
might.
be able to- I had
Elon
the whole
can't find
thing.
his. He wanted the
All
Google
these
thing, but it's not popping up.
Oh, it did not automatically.
It didn't want it to go to it.
Hey, you can watch
Up there.
Netflix.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It'd be more fun.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the planning.
No, that's not.
Oh,
Unless they got promoted
Right
board of
there.
supervisors.
Well, you might be.
then
All right, I'm trying to find it.
Agenda,
This is- How come you can watch this?
That's not
This
it.
is Google Docs. Scroll down.
Down or up?
Geez, there's a lot of stuff on there.
Oh, it's.
What you wanted is to see meeting agenda for for September 19th.
And
all at the bottom.
21st, that's the super.
I don't know why, how yours is so large.
Somebody has a problem. It's hard to see.
I don't know what's that. I don't know why I don't have that cog wheel in there.
And from there you get
Yeah,
everything
there it
else,
is.
the blue
Yeah,
links
links
take you
to
to
it.
whatever.
Okay.
What,
That was smooth once you got it.
who was sitting here that was hard of seeing? How do I get to? I'm on board of supervisors.
Everything I own is Apple.
God, they changed it.
So when I get into PCs,
It's different, every single one of it.
I don't know what's where.
Let's start
I
bringing my
like the
kid.
fact that all of my, every Apple device I own, my watch, my PC, all communicate. Everything's linked. And everything is the same.
These things don't work
Whether it's,
again.
iPad, whatever I do online.
Right there.
I just downloaded the newest,
Lock people out of changing settings.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
all of them.
They're just used for meetings, they shouldn't be changed.
Most of it is security. but
You guys ready? You ready to go, Mark, while you're figuring that out?
Go ahead.
Passwords.
Right. And then evening show.
Are
You guys ready?
Do that again. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, at this time, I'll call the September meeting of the East Hempfield Township Zoning Hearing Board to order. Members who are present this evening, Mr. Hanson, Mr. Luce, Mr. Kyle, Mr. Bingham, and of course, myself. We have also with us this evening our legal counsel, Jason Hess, our township planner, whatever your title is, Nate Sturgis, and our zoning officer, Beth Graham. We also have present with us this evening a court reporter. We have 3 new cases to be considered this evening and any other old business. This board will hear each case in an informal manner without strict compliance with the rules procedure in a court trial. We ask that each applicant and any individual interested in a particular case to step in front of the table and explain the circumstances involved in their application. Applicants may present their case themselves or through their attorneys or other representatives. My fellow board members and I, as well as our solicitor, may ask the applicant questions from time to time during the applicant's presentation. Every individual, the applicant and any individual will have time to offer evidence of their own and inform the board of the positions on the matter. In the interest of prompt and orderly disposition of the case, however, we will ask interested people to refrain from speaking until the applicant's presentation has been completed and the board has had an opportunity to question the applicant. At the beginning of each case, people who are interested in the case should decide whether they desire to be parties to it. By being given the status of a party, that person will be entitled to receive notice of the decision in that case and will be entitled to participate in any subsequent appeal or rehearing. Individuals who are not given party status may nevertheless ask questions and present evidence, but will not receive notice of the decision and will not automatically be entitled to participate in any appeal or subsequent rehearing. If you desire to be a party, we'll ask you to sign an entry of appearance form at the appropriate time. And although each party will receive a written copy of the decision, the mechanics of typing and signing the decision will take approximately 4 weeks. We ask that each person who asks a question or makes a statement first state his or her name and address for the court reporter. Lastly, in the interest of time, I will administer the oath or affirmation to all applicants and to everyone and anyone who anticipates making a statement this evening in respect to any of the hearings this evening. So at this time, will you all rise, please? Nate, is there anyone on Zoom?
Just Cindy.
Okay. Under penalties of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Please stay standing. We'll salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Beth, the cases this evening have been advertised and posted in accordance with the MPC and the Sunshine Law.
They have.
Gentlemen, you have received a copy of the August 15th, 2002 board minutes. It's presented by the secretary. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I would ask for a motion to approve the board minutes of August 15th, 2022.
Make that motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Bingham to approve the minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Luce. Discussion, gentlemen? Seeing them, Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Luce,
In favor?
Mr. Kyle,
I'll abstain since I was not in attendance.
Mr. Bingham,
In favor.
and I will also vote in favor. The board minutes of August 15, 2022 have been approved by a vote of 4-0-1. Also, for everyone's notice, not only are we in person this evening, but once again, we are also on Zoom. As Nate indicated, there is only one individual on Zoom at this time, and that happens to be the township manager. And if that should change, then Nate will let me know. Old business. Beth.
No, sorry.
Don't scare me like that. Okay, with that then, first case, please, Beth.
First case is number 2416, Lisa M. Cooper, 2111 Marietta Avenue, seeking a time extension to a previous decision.
Okay, is Miss Cooper here or her representative?
Hi, my name is Amanda Groff with Harbor Engineering.
1 second, please. Yeah, yes, we'll make sure of that. Excuse me, your name again, please?
Amanda Groff with Harbor Engineering.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be or on Zoom that wants to be a party to the case?
Hold on to it.
Seeing none, thank you. Also, please speak into the microphone and you can move it around. And anyone possible have questions, please go to a mic. Continue.
Sure. Here with me tonight is Lisa Cooper. She is the owner of 2111 Marietta Avenue. It's about a 1 acre property on the north side of Marietta Avenue. She was previously here in 2020. She received 3 variances for the side yard setback of the existing dwelling, residential density for multifamily, and the sidewalk along Marietta Avenue, which was later nullified as part of a discontinuance to the appeal. So the original decision was appealed, then settled and discontinued for that last variance, which resulted in the following time extension, which was approved in September of 2021, which granted 6 months to submit the plan and 1 year for recording. We did submit the plans in January of this year to the township, which was within the time frame for the previous time extension. So here tonight, we are requesting an additional time extension for 6 months to record the plan. As I mentioned previously, we did submit the plans to the township in January of this year. The land development process has taken longer than anticipated. We did go to the Board of Supervisors in August 17th of this year, and we received conditional approval. We've gotten most of the items taken care of at this point. We just recently received water and sewer approval. We received the module exemption from DEP, and we're in progress with the highway occupancy plans, but that won't affect the decision tonight. So really the outstanding items at this point are finalizing agreements and plans for signatures and recording the plans, but we're requesting additional time to get that done.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen? Mr. Hanson?
Ms. Groff, this would be your second time extension. if the board were to approve it.
Correct.
Traditionally, the board doesn't like to approve any more than 2 time extensions. If I read your submission correctly, you're asking for 6-month time extension. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are you sure that's going to be enough?
The only thing we have left at this point is basically getting signatures and recording the plan.
Okay,
We
I'm
can
just-
certainly ask for longer if you would rather.
I can't tell you. I'm just asking that this board traditionally gives you 2 extensions and we frown on anything after that. So that's why I want to make sure that you folks have enough time and not have to come back before the board. Can you?
Miss Cooper, you're gonna have to state your name, address for the record and get to a mic in case anybody is also listening. Please.
My name's Lisa Cooper and I own 2111 Marietta Avenue. I live in Manheim Township, unfortunately. But I can't imagine it would take longer than 6 months to get the signatures and record the plan that we need to get done. We are hopefully days away from it, but that's why we asked for 6 months.
And I'm sure you can. I just want to make sure because I don't want to have to see you here again.
I don't want to come back, I promise.
Well, she could take it that way from you saying don't want to see her again too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Any other questions, gentlemen? Jason?
None.
Beth?
Nothing.
Township have anything?
None.
Anybody on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Anyone in the audience have anything to say either pro or con for this application? Seeing none. With that, nothing else?
No.
With that, gentlemen, we're going to conclude testimony in case number 2416. We are going to take administrative notice of case number 24.
40.
No, it was actually 2416. It was the last meeting, it ended up going under the old application number. So it was listed on the agenda as 2440, but then it got changed. So
Okay. We're still going to take administrative notice of the previous case, which is 2416. And just to keep it, so the record at least acknowledges it, case number 2440, which following solicitors' comments are one and the same.
well, 2440 was actually assigned to a different case. So
But it's the same property.
no, 2440 was actually assigned to a case, a completely separate property. I just looked at the decision that it's a separate applicant, separate property.
Then it shouldn't even be on this application.
Is it on the application?
Yes.
At the bottom, it says case number 2440, time extension approved on September 21st.
Yeah, that would be wrong. because
Okay,
yeah.
then, before we move forward, gentlemen, I need a motion to amend the application to remove the reference to case 2440 for a time extension, which at the advice of our solicitor said that case was assigned to another property. So it should not be listed here. Can I have that as a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Moved by Mr. Bingham. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kyle. Any questions? No, Mr. Hanson.
Approved. In favor.
Mr. Lou.
Sorry.
In favor. Mr. Kyle.
Favor.
Mr. Bingham.
In favor.
And I will also vote in favor. The application has been amended to remove the reference to case number 2449. This is too much for an old man. So we will take administrative notice of the case 2416, which is this is an appeal, the 2416, to be made part of this record. There are no exhibits, gentlemen, so at this time, I will listen to a motion in the appeal of case number 2416, asking for an extension, time extension.
Mr. Chairman. Case number 2416, the request of Lisa M. Cooper for property located at 2111 Marietta Avenue, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 17603. Make a motion to grant her request for a variance to section 270-9.1D13 E and F, granting her a time extension of additional 6 months to file the plan.
Motion by Mr. Hanson and the appeal of case number 2416 for time extension for the property at 2111 Marietta Avenue, Lancaster, PA 17603. To grant a variance to section 270-9.1.D13 E and F to grant a 6-month extension to file the plan. Your motion?
Yes, sir.
I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Luce. Discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
Mr. Luce?
In favor.
Mr. Kyle? In favor. Mr. Bingham? In favor. And I also vote in favor. You've been granted your request for an extension of 6 months to file the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Beth, next case, please.
Next case is number 2453, Community Fellowship Church, 200 Bethel Drive, seeking a variance to the sign regulations.
Is someone here from Community Fellowship Church? All three of you. Whoever's going to do the speaking, please introduce yourself, your address for the court reporter, and present your case. Oh, wait, excuse me. Got this. Anyone in the audience or on Zoom that wants to become a party to this case? Well, you're with the applicant, then you're already in a party. This is for others that may be neighbors or whatever. Seeing none, please continue.
I'm Nancy Tipton, owner of Advanced Science Graphics. Address is 780 Eden Road, Building 1.
Their last name was?
Can you put the mic a little, move it down towards you? Yes.
And what did you say your last name was? Tipton? Thank you.
Thank you.
We are seeking relief from table 270-7.1.4.1 to get more than a 32 square foot sign on the building. When we started this whole process of trying to put a sign on the building, I sent an email over a year ago to Colin Seidel, which previous officer, and that email is part of your package, where he told me the church has committed 1 square foot of signage per linear foot of the building frontage. So that was where we started over a year ago, trying to decide how big of a sign we wanted and where we wanted. And we've been through tons of mock-ups and different concepts, and we've done test samples and we hung them from the building, and we bring it down 30 and made sure they could read it. And then once we submitted the permit, we found out that we're not allowed signs. So that is why we're here. There's a lot of hardships in trying to put a sign on this building. The biggest one is the location of the church. It's in the back corner of the development. It does not sit along a road that you would be turning into to get to the church. So the only place where you could put a sign where you would view it would be along Route 30. And that causes a whole bunch of other problems because of how far the church sits from Route 30. It's 225 feet back from the westbound side and over 300 feet from the eastbound side. So to be able to read a sign, you need really big letters. And to only be able to put a 32 square foot sign on the building, which is basically a 4x8 sign, you wouldn't be able to read the letters. And as a sign professional, the thing that we look at is sign readability. It's not worth making a sign if you can't read it. And the rule of thumb for signage is for every inch of letter height, take a letter. For every inch of that, you can read it 10 feet away. So this is a 14-inch sign, so you can read it 140 feet away. So we started playing around with, all right, how big do the letters need to be on the sign to be able to be read? And that's how we came up with the sign size where it is on the building. We also looked into the readability of signs around the church. And the one place that I went to was Christ King. We don't have in your packet of info, but here's that sign. The church is directly to the right if your back's to the church of the church. It's also in a residential area, and their sign is more than 32 square feet. So we did the calculations, and it's 84 square feet. So here's a neighboring church that does have a larger sign. We also looked at across the street allergy, an asthma center, just to find out how big their letters are, because you can definitely read that from the road. And their letters are 14 inches. So our calculations with the size of the letters and how big we wanted to go is definitely going to work along with 30. Do you have any questions?
Questions, Mr. Hanson?
First of all, the Christ King Church, and I'm not usually a betting person, but I bet that sign was never put up with township approval. Number two, the one you just showed, I guarantee you that didn't have township approval.
The allergy sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, whether they had township approval or not, that's not our decision.
The only point I was really trying to make, we were basing them on readability and the size of the letters and how big we needed to go to be able to see. So we were looking at those signs and see them.
Is there currently a freestanding sign on this property?
They're up.
You have any of those freestanding signs by Route 30?
We have one.
Can that not be seen from Route 30?
It can, not very well. And, you know, my understanding is building signage and freestanding signage are treated separately.
You're allowed two signs, one freestanding, one building sign.
And we have a variance for 2. Freestanding.
Okay, so my issue is you put a building sign on here. I'm going down Route 30 eastbound at, I'm gonna say 55 but nobody does 55 going down Route 30. You expect me to see a sign that says Fellowship Church?
If it's lighted at night, yes.
How do I get there? You're on a residential street. At the very end of it, you have no directions on how to get there. What is the purpose of the sign? What is the sign doing for you?
And so that people know that they're there, I use and put it in the GPS and figure out how to get there.
Don't you have a freestanding sign along Route 30? You just told me you did.
We do, they're talk of removing that because it's not lighted and it's not really doing much of anything.
So why not make it lighted? Make it do it what it's supposed to do. You're allowed 32 square foot freestanding sign.
We are, but we also need a sign at the entrance to the church. So there is it's not quite a 4x8, I think it's a 4x6 sign at the entrance when you're coming up that drive. So you really have to have one at that location. But that is the entrance into the property.
What I'm not understanding here is what's the hardship?
The hardship that there's no signage on the building itself, and that we want to have a lighted sign on the building itself.
So what's your hardship that you need a 100 and some square foot sign?
But you can't read it if you don't have a 4x8 on the building.
But I should be able to read the 32 square foot sign that sits along Route 30, right?
Right, but that's just a banner on.
So put a lighted sign. You're allowed, you can put a lighted sign there. So by putting a lighted sign along Route 30 on the church's property, that would negate the need for any other signage on the building. Even though you could still have one sign on the building at 32 square feet. So again, I fail to see the hardship here.
Excuse me. You have to come up and give your name, address, please.
My name is Trisha Garber and I'm at 830 Lakeview Drive, Lancaster.
Thank you.
The sign that is on there now with the variance is a 40 square foot sign and it's difficult to read.
On the building or on the?
The one on the property, there's also brush. Our property goes down to Route 30 and there's brush that comes up, sometimes covers a sign. It's not very visible.
I still don't understand a hardship. Clean the brush off. That takes care of the sign. For me to grant you a variance, there has to be a legitimate hardship. You already have a variance for 2 freestanding signs. You're still eligible for another building sign at 32 square feet. Nobody is giving me a reason of a hardship here to grant you this request for this humongous sign.
The hardship is that you can't leave a 32 square foot sign on the building and the 32 square foot sign that's down in the lawn right now. It's really difficult to read and hard to see. So we're going to eliminate that and just go for on the bill. And yeah, the hardship is the property part. Hard to see because of how far back it sits from the way. So
my name is Jason Craig, 2005 Robindale Avenue, Hempfield Township. So one other, and maybe this is not enough of a hardship, would be that based on this email, we designed a lot of this building to hold a sign, including running the electric and doing a lot, not just mock-ups, but also getting engineers up there to look at how this sign would be set, manufactured, set on the building. It's a tremendous amount of hours and a lot of money in this new project. So, and having just kind of completed a nearly $3 million renovation, that was, and again, maybe that's not a hardship, But we were under the impression that we had approval. So this could be the capstone of our project.
I can't speak for Mr. Seals, but I can tell you what he quoted you as a standard commercial. You are not in a commercial zone, you are in a low density residential zone.
Facing 30 with me.
Other questions, gentlemen?
So
Mr. Lewis?
your plans then are to remove the sign in the front and just utilize the one sign at the entrance
Right, they'll have the building.
and then the one on the building. And when I say entrance, I meant on the driveway on Bethel Drive, right? And those would be the only signs that are there then.
Hi.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
I have one other.
Mr. Bagel. Excuse me.
Having been on this job for a long time, I've actually had the joy of going to meetings about the design of signs along highways. None of you have mentioned, other than one, the speed of the vehicle, which does enter into how big a sign you need for someone to actually read it. And it probably would be a good idea to think about that in your presentation. At 65 miles an hour, you actually need a somewhat bigger and brighter sign for people to be able to read it, especially at night.
Yeah, and we did, the calculations for the letter heights.
I looked at it.
But you don't have this part of it in there. You know, the community letters were 13.5, fellowship is 17.5, and then church 9.5. So yeah, the other characteristics that come into readability, especially along the road where people are traveling, is also contrast with black and white and how fast they go. So that also makes you want to put up larger letters so that people read it. And again, at night, the sign that's out in the yard right now, no one can read it because it's not lighted, but then if you put one on the building, then you will be able to read it because channel letters are going to be nice and bright.
Is the design of this sign a consistent logo and other things that the church does?
It is the church logo, but it's their brand.
So that means that it's more than being able to read it, it's being able to see it.
Correct.
That is going to be helpful. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Nate,
Mr.
can you put that picture up? Where'd you hide the pointer at? Got the pointer?
Not gonna work. Well, cheap chairs.
Probably needs batteries.
Where do you plan to put the sign right here? The way this building is designed, is this all flat front here, or is this part here set back?
That's part of the setback.
Okay. Can you go back to the previous? Yeah, the arrow from showing Route 30.
It's not set all the way back.
So that would be right in this area here, correct? Where you plan to put the sign?
Correct.
So let's say right here. Okay. I'm going down here at 55, 60 miles an hour at night. The way that building is in an angle here to eastbound Route 30, you're never going to see that sign unless you look 90 degrees directly over to that sign. Same thing coming the opposite way. 55, 65 miles an hour, unless I'm looking for that sign, I'm never gonna see it. Whereas if you had a freestanding sign in this area, I probably would see it.
The sign is really lit up at night because of all the parking lights, so you do see that there is a big building there.
So with the parking lights and everything lighting up the building, that's gonna make the sign even less visible.
I think I understand your concerns. The setback is, I feel like is negligible. It's really not set back that far. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we did not want to mount it to the back of the building, is for that very reason. So we're not, because of the mock-ups that we've done, we're not concerned about there being a blind spot. That was a question that we asked, and impacted the placement, where we wanted to place the sign. So for us, the bigger concern would be, having already prepared and roughed in the sign, having to do that again now to run electric under the parking lot, to drill under the parking lot, to be able to put electric right at the road frontage. You're correct that, I mean, we could create a visible sign in that area, but it would be quite a lot more money in order to have to prep that. And after having already spent money to rough in for our sign, we would definitely prefer to have something that would be on our building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I have one about the lighting of the sign. Is that a backlit light or is that?
Baselit channel letters.
And the lumen that would be from that, how bright would that sign be?
I don't have the calculations from, the manufacturer at this time. But it would meet all of the township requirements for
Okay.
baselit channel letters.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Our church has been there 17 years and my understanding is when it was built, we were told no sign on the building because initially the building had fish carved into the side. And that's why we went for the variance. And now we've done away with the fish in hopes that we could have a sign on the building that is legible and can be seen. And we need something that is big enough to be seen. It would be about a football field away. So we need letters that are, decent size to be seen.
I could say one more thing, it would be, in our conversations, I'm in the community a lot, and it is often that we get a aha, oh, that's what that building is. When we're talking about where we work or where our church is. Because it does not take the shape of a traditional church. There is a lot of curiosity on what exactly is that building. Now, that's our fault for sure in the intentional design. But again, it is not obvious what that building is.
Thank you. Jason, questions of the applicant?
I do, thank you. Since it's been alluded to so often, I have a Google Maps street view from Route 30 of the might as well have this marked as a zoning hearing board.
Sir.
What is that, the freestanding?
This one's just 130 now. Or just the one at Bethel? That's 130.
30. Another picture of it too.
And I would just note that the image capture on the bottom of that was August of this year. So that's basically what it looks like now.
Is that from a drive?
I just took it from the street view of Google Maps from Route 30. It's, that's not even the photo I just passed around, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
also all of the trees and brush that are down there on this photo that you passed around. That's not the responsibility of the church to maintain that, and that's what Tristan was talking about, is sometimes that grows up and.
okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Is that brush and is that on in the right of way, or is that?
That I believe it's after fence.
It's actually covering chain link fence.
Okay, I mean, but it looks like was a cutout in the brush, so you could see the sign. Was that done by the church or?
Occasionally I guess the state will come by and cut.
Okay,
I'm not aware.
okay. And you said that that sign doesn't have any lighting?
No, it's just a banner on wood posts.
Okay. But the decision when you obtained the variance, you were permitted to put lighting on that sign. So you could do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Across the parking lot and out to that site and.
Probably comes down to that. You can't.
What we do not want to do is like sign the building.
Understood. Okay. Those are the questions I had. Thank you.
Nate, yeah, excuse me, Nate. Beth, any questions for the
Don't.
Nate on behalf of the township?
I do not know.
Okay. Anyone in the audience or Zoom have questions of the applicant? Seeing none. Anything else you want to add at this time? Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions of the applicant?
Yes, I would.
Mr. Hanson.
Church property runs all the way down to this fence line, correct?
I'm not sure exactly what the boundary is.
If you look at what you submitted. I think it's page 12 or 13. Nate. Yes, can you blow that up? So from what I see there, that plan that you submitted your application, your property, the church's property runs all the way down to the fence line, which separates the state's right away from your property. So by me putting a freestanding sign lighted right down there at the edge of the property, which would be seen a lot better than what you're requesting to be put on the building. Wouldn't that make more sense? And that you wouldn't even need to be here for that.
Please use the mic. It makes it easier for two reasons, so everybody knows. One, well, actually three reasons. One is basically Cheryl will make sure she can hear it. Two is because the board minutes are in there. And three is to make sure, especially now that we have Zoom, that people can hear what is going on. So Excuse me for interrupting.
Before you answer, let me say this. I understand what you're saying. If this building is, the signs on the building identifies the building. If you have a freestanding sign, it still identifies the building. Neither one of you, those signs, tells you how to get there.
People
'Cause
don't
I
even know what
spend-
the building is, though.
I spend a lot of time in Jacobs Creek. I have a lot of friends down there.
Mhm.
And for the fact that I haven't sat on the zoning board for 17 years and knew about you guys being here before in front of us, I would never know how to get there.
And you wouldn't be able to find out how to get there if there's no sign on the building, because no one can even look up the name of the building.
What I'm saying, the sign right along Route 30 would be better off than sitting on the building.
I think
And
with
you wouldn't need a variance for it.
Well, with the landscaping, I don't know, we can't put it right behind the fence because there's brush all through there. And then it goes up. I mean, it's a pretty steep hill up to the building.
Understand that. So
I don't know that it would be associated.
you're just making my argument for me. So if I put a sign on a building that sits way up and I'm way down here on Route 30,
Mhm.
how am I gonna see a sign that's way up here as opposed to one that's down along Route 30?
Well, that's why we're requesting,
Making it as big as we are.
that's why we need one larger than 32 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, anything else you want to add before I? Okay, with that, is there anyone in the audience and or on Zoom that has a comment, either pro or con, for this application? Seeing none. With that, before we conclude, anything you want to just add before we conclude testimony?
Money has already been spent to be able to put the sign in that location, and all of you mentioned here, drawings have been done for Winlet and how we're gonna now incorporating on the roof and not have a leak, and there's been appointment with the roofers and the electricians and everyone to get us to this point, so there's been a lot of time and effort already put into getting here, and we thought we were going about the right thing because of,
Just for the record and your knowledge, one of the 5 criteria for a variance, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has upheld those 5 criteria. Economics is not one of them. And so I understand from your position, you know, the cost and everything went into it, but that is not, as Mr. Hanson was alluding to earlier, the needs that have to be met for a variance. That's just an editorial comment, and that's not a position or anything. That's just stipulating what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has verified. With that, gentlemen, we are going to conclude testimony in case number 2453. With that being said, we will add into evidence zoning hearing board exhibit number 1, which is a Google Maps picture of a freestanding sign facing Route 30. We will add into the record, made part of this case numbers 620, 1200, 1281, 2077, and 2390. With that, gentlemen, I will listen to a motion in case number 2453. If there is one at this time.
Mr. Chairman. Case number 2453, the request of Community Fellowship Church for property located at 200 Bethel Drive, Lancaster, PA 17601. The request for a variance from the allowable 32 square feet building sign to the request of 141. Make a motion to deny the request due to a lack of a hardship.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Hanson. Excuse me. In case number 2453, request of Community Fellowship Church at 200 Bethel Drive, Lancaster, PA, for variance to allow the allowable square footage of 32 square feet for a building sign to a requested size of 141 square feet for variance of a request of 109 square feet is denied due to lack of requirements for a variance. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second, gentlemen? I will second it to put it on the table. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hanson.
I understand where the church is coming from. However, looking back at this board's decision on signs over time, the last one I remember, I was willing to give you a freestanding sign along Route 30. The rehab hospital got rejected for a freestanding sign along Route 30 for the same reasons that we were saying earlier. Not only that, you folks were making my arguments for me based on the lack of a hardship. On the height of the building, how far high it sits above Route 30. I just don't see where this sign is actually going to do you any good. Because it sits on the building, the way the building sits on a little bit of an angle, the speeds on Route 30, the lower elevation of Route 30 versus where the building is. I just don't think you guys have established a hardship here. As the chairman mentioned earlier, economics is not allowable as a hardship, according to the courts.
We made banners and hung them up where the sun was gonna be and drove down 30 to make sure that it was breathable. Make sure that moving in this direction was going to work.
I understand that, but you were purposely looking for those signs. If I'm driving down Route 30, I am more likely to notice a sign, freestanding sign along Route 30, like the air place down there, the lift all sign, McDonald's sign, than I am at some building way above my head, 200 and some yards off the highway. The reason you saw the sign, you guys were there, is you were purposely looking for it. Anybody driving down that road, unless they were purposely looking for your sign, are never going to see it. Again, I just don't see the hardship here.
Any other comments, gentlemen? Seeing none. Mr. Hanson.
In favor.
Mr. Luce.
Opposed.
Mr. Kyle.
Opposed.
Mr. Bingham.
Opposed.
And I'm in favor. But the motion has been denied or has gone down by a vote of 2-3. With that, gentlemen, I need a motion then on case number 2453.
Mr. Chairman, case 2453, I move to approve the Community Fellowship Church 200 Bethel Drive seeking the variance sign regulations to approve the 141 additional, or excuse me, 109 additional square feet for a total of 141 square feet from the regulated 32 allowable square footage, with the condition that the freestanding sign be removed along Route 30.
Mr. Lewis, would that be in addition to all the normal conditions?
In addition to all of the normal conditions.
Okay, excuse me. Motion by Mr. Luce in case number 2453 for Community Fellowship Church, 200 Bethel Drive, Lancaster, PA, to grant a variance to section or to table 270-4.1.1 to allow a 109-foot variance from the allowable 32 square feet to 141 square feet building sign with the following conditions. One, that the existing freestanding sign facing Route 30 be eliminated and removed, resulting in one freestanding sign on the property. And two, the conditions this board places on all decisions.
I'd like to add another condition.
Well, it's first,
Yes.
is that what you said? Okay. Go ahead. Let's see if it's agreeable.
The variance that was granted, giving them 2 freestanding signs goes away if this is approved.
I think that's the.
I'm just gonna
Basically,
state it.
yeah. Okay,
I'm good with that.
okay, so a third condition would be that the variance, case number, not sure of, that it granted allowable 2 freestanding signs, is, repealed. Is that okay? Do I have a second to this motion?
Second,
Seconded by Mr. Kyle. Discussion, gentlemen.
question of clarification, so that they would still be permitted a freestanding sign under the ordinance, right?
Correct. Correct. They'd have,
Oh, they already have it.
well, they,
Well, but they would just keep the one, they would take.
They would keep the one.
Right.
And get the building sign.
Right,
They'd
they
have to
would-
get rid of the second one.
right,
Okay.
yeah, between condition 2 and 3. Okay.
Yep.
Can I make a comment, though?
Sure,
I do
comments.
understand exactly where Mr. Hanson is coming from. In regards to the hardship, I do see other hardships, though, as a means for asking for the approval. And the fact that PennDOT, you're at their mercy a lot of times in clearing some of that. I believe, getting rid of one sign and condensing it down into just, or getting 2 signs condensed down into one is favorable. We have a thing called sign pollution that we try to eliminate as much as possible.
Anything else, gentlemen? Seeing none. The motion is to approve the request for a variance. Mr. Hanson,
Opposed.
Mr. Luce,
In favor.
Mr. Kyle,
In favor.
Mr. Bingham,
In favor.
and I also am still opposed. So your request for a variance of 109 square feet for a building sign has been approved with the conditions so stated. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
I do see the other things that are.
I bother. Although I didn't mention that, I also looked at the topographics lines on the diagram they provided. It is bloody steep.
And the reason would have given it a place.
Oh, yeah.
And for someone to safely go down there and keep that brush away would
Yeah.
be a hardship.
Your business, you can't have. But with them, I would have no problem with that.
It isn't easy to get down there. I was on the
but it-
board when we approved that road and that church. Yeah. They are in a tough spot.
Well, I understand exactly what you're saying about the hardship. I saw the hardship, so that's why I was like, okay. But I shouldn't be the one interpreting it, but I'm the one interpreting it. Oh, every day. I had a tennis, middle states tennis tournament this weekend.
All right. You're playing in it?
Oh, yeah, I was playing it up here in Hempfield.
How'd you do?
I went 2-2, that team lost, but
West, they,
Padel courts,
they put it, they at least put in
foundation.
the foundation and the, surface. Now, they don't have that glass back.
No,
wall
that,
where
they're having a delay on getting all that stuff together. It's
Yeah.
because of shipping and everything, but it's,
Yeah, I thought they were pretty long ago. Yeah. And they
Is that for
may have.
pickleball or tennis?
this Padel, it's called.
Padel.
Padel, that's
Yeah.
a different one altogether.
Alright.
It's big, it's huge in Europe.
Yep.
And it's almost like a racquetball tennis. You can play off the walls and things
Yeah,
like that.
geez.
And oh, yeah,
Yeah, but,
the only one around.
I wanted to tell you that
Like
a
squash.
month or so ago, I went over to Lowe's and came back and they were working on it. And then just, over the weekend, I went over to Lowe's. It's my second home between there and Home Depot. And they have like flowers around it and it's.
They can make it beautiful. They have people joining the club already just for those courts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you belong there? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
How often you play?
I don't know, I'm only playing.
Didn't they used to have yacht in the name of the thing?
Tennis and yacht. No,
Yeah.
that's down the street.
That's
That's
another
on,
one.
yeah, that's on
Okay.
Columbia Avenue.
Well, actually, that was the.
Tennis and riding, or tennis and riding club. Yep. Until they got rid of the stables, they didn't have, yeah.
Then there were farms around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could actually ride some.
I told them at least park a boat out front or something, you know, they can look
I
good.
used to
Rowboat
take care
or
of
something.
horses there. Yeah, that was their
Oh, my-
riding. And then up the street in Centerville Road where the Sheets is, used to be
You went
Rock
to-
12 staves, so.
Tennis and yacht? It's a tennis and yacht, yeah.
It's
right up
still
there.
tennis
Oh,
and
it's-
yacht.
We,
It
I
was-
play there every Friday.
It was-
Yeah, they teach
tennis
that there
and
in the summer.
It was
Did you
tennis
look at
and
the
riding.
topographic lines
Yeah,
in that
and then,
map?
well,
That's
actually, I
such
think
a real
first it was.
And the safety of
yacht
getting
and
down
riding.
to trim those hedges. And
And
in
then
the
it
picture,
was,
some of it-
yacht and.
some of the hedges were
I know.
much higher.
Waiting for PennDOT to do it, which
Yeah.
never happened.
I thought it was always tennis.
They may or may not get
Maybe
to it
once
this
a year.
decade.
Riding and yacht, okay.
At the beginning, and then.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't know.
It's not,
To,
in,
take care of horses.
my
You're gonna have to
opinion, they're not looking
Yeah,
for
well,
the sign
then
to
it
be
went
legible.
to,
It's a logo that tells people, yes, that's the one I'm
Riding
looking
and
for.
If you're
Then
looking
they'll
for it, if
figure
you're
out
not,
where to
then you're
get
not.
off.
Riding with the wave, well, tennis and yacht.
yeah, they sold, stables for development.
Yeah.
But if you can't see it
Well,
half the
actually, there's a
time because
Fire
of
there too, at the
road.
stables.
They didn't want to rebuild them.
I presume that
that's
was
gonna be
what
a
it
way
was.
different sign.
My,
This one's
mother
less
stepped
obtrusive
up
in the
when
neighborhood
they first got
and
married,
for anybody.
but it matches the signs on the. Lived on the street.
Nobody sees
They
those.
just bought a trailer. Kids that were there that I would go and. we get
Hair
to know.
products, it's
He
this
was
giant thing
there,
with
so I
tanks and
helped him
tubes.
Take care of the horses, he was.
Everybody knows what a McDonald's sign is.
Get out
It's an
in the morning, evening,
identifiable
when I was out
logo.
there visiting.
Arches.
We
You
started.
don't even
first
have to
at
read the
Knoxville,
damn
right?
thing. No, it's a
Centerville
McDonald's.
was closer.
And that's what these guys, that's what these guys
Sold
are
that
aiming for.
property
A
off.
sign that says
And
this is
Centerville
where
Road
you want.
It was a two-lane.
Not that you
Three
can
covered
read the whole thing.
road.
There's not that much on it. It's two words, pretty much.
We ready?
You know,
I don't
It's
agree,
gonna be
Mark.
under
I don't
construction.
know if it's gonna accomplish what they
Center
want.
Road.
I think at least the grand end looks different.
That's gonna be one of those roads you wait
That's the other
for
thing.
a while. Yeah, that'll be another one.
Surprised you're still there, man. That's impressive.
Okay, if we can go back on the record. Beth, the next case
case, please.
Case number 2454, Thomas V. Spano, 191 Broad Street, seeking a variance to the sign regulations.
Okay, is Mr. Spano here or representative? Okay, okay,
Natalie Potter. I represent Mr. Spano. My address is 245 Butler Avenue, Suite 103, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 17601. We're here to discuss a sign that is located on 191 Broad Street in Landisville.
okay. First thing, is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom that wants to be a party to this case? Seeing none in the room, and it's just Cindy at Stone. Okay, there is none that want to be party. Before we proceed, I'll turn it over to our solicitor to make some, we need to make some corrections to the application.
Yeah, so thank you.
Oh, yeah.
The owner of record listed on the application, it says that Thomas V. Spano is the owner. But it looks like, looking at the town or the county property
Held by a holding
records,
company.
you're right, that it's LPV 18 Tobacco Road LLC. Is
That's an
that
easy amendment that we can make. Yes.
okay? And
What,
the-
before you move on, what was that title? So when I asked the board for their approval?
I was just gonna put all
One
three of them
second.
together, but okay, yeah, it's LPV 18,
Wait a minute, L,
L as in Larry, P as in plant, V as in Victor, 18 Tobacco Road LLC.
okay, thanks.
The second item is that you listed yourself as the applicant, which you know, ordinarily the property owner or a equitable owner is listed as the applicant. And the one of the reasons is if for some reason an application were appealed, you couldn't be both attorney and witness and, you know, and
And
party.
that's
at
okay.
the-
Again, that's a simple change that we can make.
So,
right?
sure, I mean, well, this is all part of an amendment. So if we would list the applicant as, I mean, either Mr. Spano or the property owner itself, do you have a preference?
Let's do the LLC, please.
Okay.
And just for the record, do you have the correct address for that LLC?
The address listed in the county records is 634 Eagle Rock Avenue, 216, West Orange, New Jersey, 07052.
That's correct.
And the final thing is just that the subject property zone is listed as village, and I think the correct zone would be village center. Is that right? Nate?
Let me verify real fast.
I know that we worked together on that. Beth and I did. So if that was a mistake on my part, I apologize.
So there's two village zones. There's village residential, I guess, and village center.
Yes,
I think it's village center.
Village Center.
Okay. All right, so those are the three changes that I noticed. If you wouldn't mind just asking the board or make a request to amend the application for those three
I can
changes.
get on that first thing tomorrow morning.
Or you can just do it now.
We could do it now.
Okay, beautiful. So if we could make those changes, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, the only one that I don't have here is the address for the LLC corporation.
Mr. Fana, would you like to?
Yeah, I know, but he went too fast.
Okay,
I'm old.
634 Eagle Rock Avenue,
Rack?
Rock,
Oh, Rock. I also can't hear.
216 West Orange, New Jersey, 07052.
05.
2.
Okay, gentlemen, we have a request of the applicant for several changes. One is change the legal name of landowner of record from Thomas Spano to LPV 18 Tobacco Road LLC. Name of the applicant from Natalie Porter Esquire to LPV 18 Tobacco Road LLC at the address from 245 Butler Avenue, Suite 103, Lancaster to 634 Eagle Rock, 216 West Orange, New Jersey, 07052. And the name, our subject property zone from just village to VC, it's Village Center. Can I have that as a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hanson. Do I have a second by Mr. Luce? Discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Luce,
In favor.
Mr. Kyle,
In favor.
Mr. Bingham,
In favor.
and also vote in favor. The 4 changes to the application have been made. Just comment for the record, although these changes seem like they're substantial, they are not. They are more technical, as explained by our solicitor in case this case would be appealed to the courts. It would be more efficient. So with that, first of all, Ms. Potter, you're an attorney, so I'll forgive you for that. But Mr. Spano, are you going to make any comments? If you are, please stand and I will swear you in. I can't swear her in because she's an attorney and, you know, you understand the difference there? Well, it'll just make it a lot easier if you get sworn in at this point. Then I have to, when you, yeah, sworn at or sworn in. Under penalties of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With that, Ms. Porter, please can proceed.
Thank you for working with us to make those quick amendments. Greatly appreciate that. So again, we're talking about 191 Broad Street located in Landisville, Pennsylvania, 17538. Just to put it into perspective, our building is approximately 80,000 square feet. I'm just going to go down through the application, which I'm sure that you've all reviewed. Size of the building makes it impractical for our building to have a 32 square foot sign on it. Obviously, having basically a sheet of plywood up there would make it nearly impossible for anybody to identify the building and its purpose, which is detrimental to my client and his business.
Excuse me. Want to explain why it's detrimental to his client in your business?
If you can't identify the building for its purpose,
So you sit off a side street 50 feet where I can see a 32 square foot sign from 50 feet. How is that detrimental?
it's an 80,000 square foot building. I'm not gonna be able to see a 32. I live in this building. I drive there every day. If I didn't have that sign there, I would have no idea what it was.
So
And granted, it used to be a tobacco factory.
you can't tell me where, if I'm driving down Broad Street
Tobacco,
here,
sorry.
I'm never gonna see that sign from over here. I won't see that sign until I get here, which about the 50, 70 feet that it is, you're gonna tell me I can't see a 32 square foot sign in that?
That is
30
exactly
feet?
what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
thank you.
Please.
So as
continue.
we know, this is a partially residential, partially commercial zone. So there are other businesses located in nearby vicinity that have signs on their building that are proportionate to the size of their building, making it easily identifiable, which is exactly what we're going for with the sign that we're seeking the variance for. The ordinance as it is written provides for one freestanding sign. We have 2 entry points for our building. neither of which permit the opportunity for us to put a freestanding sign. That's just how it is. Previously, the building had not one, but two permanent signs that were approximately the same size and shape of the sign that we're seeking the variance for. There was never an issue before with any of the neighbors, whether they be residents or commercially owned companies. We never had an issue. There's no hardship there. The variance, if authorized, is not going to alter the essential character of the zone or the neighborhood. Again, because there were two previously posted signs, just like the one that we're dealing with tonight, on the building previous to it being redone by Mr. Spano and his team. The other buildings that are commercial in nature, they have signs, again, that are proportionate to their buildings. It would only be fair for us to do the same. And as we previously discussed, while money is not one of the factors that the Supreme Court looks to, my client has invested substantial funds to get not only the sign designed, but to have it painted onto the building. And to undo that would also cost him a lot of money.
Can I just ask a question, please? Two statements. Excuse me. That you had made. One was there were signs on this building prior to the renovation of it. Can you tell me where they were at the?
So the one I believe I included in the packet with my application. So the sign that was included in the application, if you go down the street.
It's on page 11, Nate.
Yeah.
If you go down the street, it's on the lower end of the building, which has since been renovated and it looks different than it does now.
It was on the eastern end where the loading docks were.
Yes,
Okay, right there.
yes,
Okay, that's the one.
yes. So that's one. Okay. There was another sign. Unfortunately, we did not have the opportunity to get a picture of it before we started renovations. That was in the exact same spot that the sign that we're seeking a variance for tonight was located. Unfortunately, again, we did not get a picture of that.
Okay.
I can tell you that sign didn't exist in 2000 where you put that where that Tobacco Road Loft sign is now. Because I was here in front of this board in 2000 as fire chief
Okay.
opposing this project, and there was no sign on that building.
I'll say the Google Street View I have up now is that location.
Where's the sign? It's not there. The only sign was on the end of the building.
Yeah, there's the one on the end.
There was a sign on the eastern end, and there was a sign on the L-shaped north-south on the south side. There was nothing there.
There might not have been something there in 2000, but that doesn't mean that there was never a sign there. I mean, weather
Okay.
can cause signage to, I mean, look at the other one. It's deteriorated. It's been weathered.
Now, my second question though, again, put up 12 of 14. Nate. That one there. That sign was recently put up, correct?
Yes.
Did you get a permit from the township since that sign is larger than the 32 square feet?
I was not a part of that portion of the renovations to the property.
Okay.
So let's direct that question to Mr. Spano.
Well, I'll do that later, but I just wanted that because of statements that Ms. Porter had made. Thank you. Please continue.
So the long and the short of it is there was already a sign on this building when my client acquired it. That was approximately the same size and the shape. There was never an issue with the neighbors. There's no issues to the community where the lot is situated. There's only one way that we can identify our building and its purpose, which is exactly what we're doing with the sign. There's 2 entry points. We're only allowed to have 1 sign. We don't have any space for freestanding spot signs. And it's partially commercial. And it would only be fair to allow my client to have a sign that's proportionate with his building, just as all other commercial buildings in
Did you
that
say
area.
this is commercial? This is residential.
It's partially residential and partially commercial.
What is the commercial in there?
It's a business.
You have a,
My client owns that building to rent out apartments.
I understand that. That doesn't make it commercial under our zoning regulations. Under our zoning regulations, this is residential. If it's commercial, that's a second use, which is a whole nother story.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. But we do have a right to have our building properly identified for its purpose.
So let me ask you this. To the west of that is Snavely's. It's been there forever and ever, and yes, they have signs in their building, long before the zoning ordinance was written. Some of the other businesses that have been there forever and ever, long before the zoning board ordinance was written. Everything that people are applying for signs now all meet current or the previous zoning ordinance. Why should we grant you something that, number one, sign was put up illegally, was never permitted? Number two, a 32-foot square sign over that entrance and a 30-foot square foot sign over the other entrance would identify you, because you're going from basically a very unused side street that you can't see. That sign can't be seen off that side street. I could understand if this sign was on the other side of the building and all the trees were cut down and was sitting alongside 283. That I could understand.
It's an 80,000 square foot building. The other buildings in that area are not that large. And arguably, if you put a 32 square foot sign on an 80,000 square foot building, that's gonna look ridiculous, and I would have no idea what it was.
I was in a 300,000 square foot building this morning and it had a 32 square foot sign on it. It was identified just fine. So what's your argument here?
That's a matter of opinion. We're talking about the community at large here.
Sure.
Go to the mic, sir. Thank you.
Number one, I like.
You can take it out.
Yeah.
Do this?
Yep.
Cool. First of all, yes, sir, I put that sign up without a permit. I built 7,000 units between here and Florida. I'm an old man. I'm 75 years old. I usually build from scratch. And I don't want to be disrespectful. I've been through many, many boards and many of these things before. I'm not going to apologize for being myself. That's exactly what I'm going to be here tonight. I got this place, I call it hysterically certified. I have books and pictures everywhere. I'm not going to dance with this board or anybody else to say there's one sign or two signs. This is called the Burger Building, to my knowledge. It had a couple places where the signs were. It may be on the side, maybe on the roof. There were two nice signs. I have a video. We paid thousands of dollars for a guy to video the interiors, and the exterior was magnificent. Okay. So of course we're here requesting and hopefully approving what we're doing here. I did it because it's a cool, sharp, beautifully done, in total contrast to was there before as a tobacco warehouse. Mainly because it fits. The burger thing was somewhere there or on the other end. In my mind, okay, I said to myself, okay, first of all, and again, I want to be cute here. It's a mural. I don't even look at it as a sign. It was a thing that was there before. I tried to keep the character that it was as a tobacco warehouse. And I did remember there was at least one or two places. She calls it whatever name she picked up. I thought it was the Burger Building, to be honest with you. But yes, that's the reason I said and did what I did, not disrespectfully. Look, this thing was, I sold to an acquaintance of mine. He screwed the place up. I came back and took it over. He stole $2 million from a bank, and watch my language here. He didn't pay $680,000 worth of subcontractors in your area. I'm a Delaware County and a Chester County guy. And I grew up as a subcontractor, as a towel person. So I came back up. That's not a hardship here. This is the story, gentlemen and lady, Beth. Okay, came back, fixed it up, did the best I could. I did a beautiful job. Only takes money. Okay, paid every single person he didn't pay. Okay, and in doing that, I got excited. I said, you know what? I got to put this thing back like a sign down the street. I think it's Cooper. It's really cool. We had these kind of things faded in the old buildings. And I did it. We had a building permit. Obviously, he had the previous building permit. The township has been beautiful to help me get back on our feet to get this thing done properly. Beth, Steve, the building inspector, Lassa, Steve, the water company, everybody's been perfectly beautiful to help us out. I know these are statements beyond what you asked, okay? But yes, that's what I did. That's what was there. I don't think I'm smarter or better than anybody else. I know the old story is if we do it, everybody else is going to do it. But I feel it is a mural. It was in keeping with what was there before and historically registered with the state. Thanks for putting up with me for 5 minutes. 10.
So I can tell you this project's been in front of this particular zoning board for 20-some years,
Hey, for me,
at least 20.
well, whatever, 10, 20.
And unfortunately, I can only go by what the zoning ordinance says. I personally like the old burger building. I've been through that building so many times. I can't tell you how many times I've been through that building. I've probably been through it more than you have. However, like I said, I can only go by what the zoning ordinance is. What I need to hear from you is a valid hardship. And as of this point, I haven't heard that valid hardship yet. I understand. If it was up to me, you paint a mural on there, I think it's great. But unfortunately, there's no hardship. Therefore, I can't give you a variance.
I hear you.
There are multiple streets that line up to Broad Street, which is obviously the street that our road is on, or that our building is on. If you're coming down the road, depending on what angle, you're gonna be able to see that sign.
The only way I'm going to see that is if I'm coming down, I forget which alley, either B or C Street, which are alleyways.
If you come down Main Street, right?
Mhm.
If you're coming from 283 and you make a left on the Broad Street, there's a certain point when you get to that abandoned, I think it's a lumber yard. I don't even know if it's abandoned, that you can see that sign. There are multiple points from which you can see that sign from beyond what.
I would have thought if you put it on the east side of the building, you would have seen it from Church Street, which I would.
We don't have that opportunity with the way that the building was renovated. We had to have 2 entry points because the way that the building is divided is into essentially 2 different halves.
I understand that, but if you look at the picture you submitted, where the loading docks are on the east side,
And that's an entry point.
there's plenty of room there to put that whole tobacco road right on there.
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
Can you pull page 11 up?
Again, that's a new entry point.
Aren't the entry points in the center and on the,
We have, again, the
Side.
building is basically split in half.
Right there.
So we have section 1. Right, so there's an entry point there now.
okay, how high is the entry point?
I'd be more than happy to submit a picture to the board if that's what it's gonna take.
I would have thought that'd been a perfect place to put it because then you could see it from Church Street. Then you
I'm
have a
pretty sure it
valid
goes up to the roof.
then you have a valid argument. If you put it there, you would have a valid argument as being seen from other locations. But where you're putting it from, you can see, and even in this picture, where that is, I couldn't see it from this end of the building.
I am 95% sure it's a 2-story entry point. There's no room to put a sign over there.
I'll take your word for it. But again, I'm still not having a hardship here.
You can't identify, number 1, 2 entry points. Again, there's no place to put a freestanding sign. whether it's 32 square foot or 100 square feet, there's no place to do it. There's no place to do it. I can't put a sign on that side of the building. So we did what we did to identify the building. And it's appropriately identified at this point. Used to be a tobacco factory. So you're telling me that I
Used to
can't
be a-
put Tobacco Road lofts on there to identify it
It
from
used
that
to be a
far away?
Tobacco factory. It used to be storage for the library system.
Well, now you
What
know
else
what
you
it
want?
is because you can see it on our sign. You can see it from multiple streets over. I live there. I take different roads every single day. I can see it from more than just in front of the building. And I guarantee you, other tenants in my building would attest to the same thing.
Well, I was up Broad Street today and I saw the sign. 10 minutes later, I went up Main Street, never saw the sign.
That's Main Street. We're gonna talk about the alleyways.
The alleyways are very, very little, not traveled hardly at all. I
Do
used.
you know
and
how
don't tell
often
me
that
that 'cause
those
I used
side
to live on
streets?
one of those alleyways.
Hey, can you?
Do you know how often that those side streets are
give that
traveled?
Picture,
No.
location.
Which picture you asked for?
Overhead.
He had that up before. I didn't know if he still had it available.
Or do you want the site plan?
That's good.
Well, can you zoom it in?
So the sign's right there, correct?
Yes.
You're gonna tell me that you're gonna see that sign from Main Street.
I didn't say Main Street.
The only street you're gonna see that from is Broad Street.
Can I have?
You can see it from B Street. You can see it from C Street.
They, move.
Number one, you can't see it from B Street because the houses that are there on Broad
The other
Street
way.
block it because it sits back in.
You go there. Just, oops. put it
Right,
back.
perfect, right there.
Back the way you had it. That's bigger. Bigger. Well, right there, that'd be good enough. To answer one of the, oops, sorry, I had that there. Ms. Porter was talking about the entrance. There is where the docks used to be.
Right.
And there's now a jet out from the brick building. So that is the second entrance to the, I just wanted to clarify that. I was trying to get some information when the discussion was going on. Thanks, Nathan. Sorry to interrupt you guys.
So now can you scroll back out a little bit? Same picture, just scroll out. Okay. So the sign is approximately right there, correct?
Yes.
If I'm coming down B Street with this house here, these houses here, and the fact that that sits back in, I am not going to see that from B Street.
I stand corrected. I obviously meant C Street.
C Street,
Oh, it's the-
right here, you might be able to see it.
Right.
Again, an alleyway. Alleyway, and A Street is also an alleyway.
Okay. There's still streets. People still travel on them. But again, we don't have the opportunity to have freestanding signs because of the way that the law is set up. It's impractical to have a 32 square, a piece of plywood of a sign on an 80,000 square foot building for me to identify it, let alone anybody else in the community. There were previous signs on the building. There's no detriment to any of the neighborhood, not the community, whether it be commercial or residential. There's no detriment to have a sign like the one that we're seeking a variance for.
Can I interrupt?
I'm done.
Okay. The freestanding sign, oh, not freestanding. The wall sign that we're talking about. You're only talking about having one sign, correct?
That's correct.
So, the west side of the building, which is to the left of what I'm looking at right now, which is a very flat side, faces Snavely's part of Snavely's lumberyard. You have no intention of putting any signs there.
No.
You have no intention of putting any sign on the north side facing the railroad tracks and 283, correct?
No, there would be no point to do that.
You were here for the last case and somewhere,
With the
Argument could
vegetation,
exist.
it just wouldn't make sense.
well, sometimes things don't make sense, but are done anyway. The eastern section, both where the second entrance is and the portion at the western end of the property, there are no intentions of putting any signs there, correct?
That's correct.
There are also no intentions of putting any signs on the south side that face Railroad Alley and Broad Street.
That's correct. This is going to be the one and only sign for that building.
Okay. Is there any other type of signage except for possible directional signs, which are allowed by the ordinance, going to be placed on that property?
No.
On the eastern side of the property, at one point, I'm not sure if Mr. Spano was part of the ownership or not, was asked that at one point they wanted to put a parking garage to that side. I presume that land is still owned by the LLC.
That's correct.
That portion of the property, I presume, since going by there, it looks like it's still under construction, and the picture that's in front of us shows it as construction, would be parking area?
Yes.
Okay, again, without any, except for directional signs, there are no intentions of putting any freestanding signs that would indicate that this is Tobacco Road loss.
No.
Just say you're putting parking on the east side there?
There is parking over by the second entrance, if I'm understanding what you mean by east side.
This side over here.
Right-hand side of the property.
Yes, yep. So that's where the old sign was, right?
Yep.
That's where the second entry point is, and there is parking over there.
So now you're exceeding lot coverage.
That's not the issue that we're here to
I'm
discuss.
just bringing it up.
Okay, we can deal with that another time.
Okay, I interrupted you, Mr. Hanson, with those questions.
Yeah, that.
You still have the floor.
I think if you put a sign right here on the side of the south side of this building right here, that would be your most visible sign to show what's there. And a nice 32 square foot sign would make that very convenient.
So you're gonna limit our exposure to just Broad Street rather than Railroad Alley, C Street, and Broad Street? Is that
Railroad
what
Alley,
you're
which-
suggesting?
Railroad Alley, which you can only get to from A and B Street, because you can't get to it from off of Church Street anymore.
Okay,
And C Street, if you're coming down C Street, you'll see it on the south side there as well as you will where you wanted to put it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're saying, Mark, where it says Broad Street, this way facing me, correct?
Yes.
There's a ton of windows there. There's no place you can put anything. The only place to put a decent sign is that location right there. They're all windows in those sign, on that side. There's no place to put a little postage stamp of any size or half that size there. That's the most logical place. That's why I put it there. What happened when I tried to get this thing approved historically, they wanted no windows in that end or the middle. And I was trying to get a grant for about $1.1 million, but we couldn't put units in there. So we couldn't adhere to that requirement. So we put windows on the left side of Building A, which are there today, and windows on the whatever side that is, Broad Street side. Again, you just drive over to Mark, you can see there's windows everywhere. There's no place to put a sign. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Porter, you want to continue or?
I pretty much said everything that I need to say. If Mr. Spano would like to say anything else, he's absolutely more than welcome to.
Okay, then. Any other questions of Ms. Porter or Mr. Spano? Jason,
Yeah, just a couple. The decision that you did reference it down here, that there was a prior decision, it was case 2058. When there were several variances approved, I guess. It mentioned that the applicant was going to convert the frame warehouse into 66 dwelling units in the condominium form of ownership. So I take it that never happened then. It was, there were, none of these places were condoed. None of
Not
these
so.
Units.
When 10 years ago, when I first came up here before the recession, back and forth, I went in and approved it and filed all the documents under the Unit Property Act for condominiums. So it's historically certified for and recorded for condominiums as well as apartments. I've done it both.
Okay, so there are some separate ownership units.
If I want to convert tomorrow morning from apartments to condominiums, all the paperwork is filed in the courts.
Okay, I see. Bear with me. I think all my other questions were addressed. Thank you.
Beth, questions? Nate, anything from the township? Anyone in the audience and or on Zoom have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience and or on Zoom have any comments to this case, either pro and or con? Seeing none. Anything else you want to add, Ms. Porter?
No.
Any additional questions before we conclude testimony?
Just one.
Mr. Lewis?
That sign is currently there.
Yes.
Okay. You're not asking to put it back up or anything like
No.
that or anything. Oh, I have.
Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, with that, we will conclude testimony in case number 2454. We have already amended the application at the request of the applicant. There are no additional exhibits except for the application. And we will take administrative notice. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm not gonna sneeze. Administrative
half-
notice
half
of
dozen cases.
2058. Also in case number 2058, there were several appeals to case number 2058 for time extensions. They all will be added to this record. While I was over there, I was checking on the other case numbers. They all refer back to this case.
Oh, really?
Okay. So, with that, gentlemen, I will listen to a motion, if there is one at this time, on case number 2454.
Mr. Chairman, case number 2454. The request of LPV 18 Tobacco Road LLC for property located at 191 Broad Street in Lansville, PA 17538. Make a motion to not approve their variance for signage because of lack of a hardship.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hanson. Case number 2454 for LPV 18 Tobacco Road LLC. To request a variance at property at 191 Broad Street, Landisville, PA, for a variance to the 270 table for signage due to lack of hardship. Do I have a second? I will second it to put it on the floor. Discussion, gentlemen.
Couple things here. Number one, we're supposed to make our decision based on what the zoning ordinance says and whether there's a hardship. I have seen no demonstration of a hardship. However, I agree with you, Mr. Spano, that I like the sign. I really do. And if there was something in the ordinance that said historically correct signs to go with adapted reuses of buildings, you'd have my vote, 100% behind it. Like I said, this property has been here before the zoning board for at least 20 years. And it's always been a good idea. Just because something's a good idea doesn't mean I can grant you something that doesn't exist in the zoning ordinance.
Anything else, gentlemen? Seeing none. Mr. Hanson, how do you vote?
In favor.
Mr. Luce?
Opposed.
Mr. Kyle?
Opposed.
Mr. Bingham?
Opposed.
And I will vote in favor. Gentlemen, the the motion has gone down. I need a motion in case number 2454.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
I would make a motion that the existing sign be allowed to remain, but no other signs be added to any other part of the building.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bingham in case number 2454. By LVP 18 Tobacco Road LLC. At property at 191 Broad Street. To grant the variance for the existing sign on the south side of the building with no other signs being placed on the building. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you seconded
Can I ask you another condition?
it. Yes.
It's not lit, correct?
That's correct.
And it will not be lit. No, its condition is that it will not be able to be lit.
And our standard conditions
It is
is.
standard condition.
Right. Okay, is that agreeable?
And add the standard conditions.
Standard conditions. I also have a couple other conditions for you to consider. One, no additional building signs.
Yeah. I
Two.
already-
Right, you placed, but I'm spelling that out there. Two, no freestanding identification signs on the property. They would be allowed directional signs, but no freestanding identification signs.
Correct.
And three, that a permit for this sign be acquired from the township within, I would say, the 30 days. Otherwise, this motion would be null and void. Since they haven't gotten a permit and it's required to have a permit before signs are placed, I think it is imperative that they get the permit before they proceed any further.
Can I ask our two zoning people here, is that possible to do? Is that a reasonable request?
I believe that we did file for a permit. I received a denial to our permit on September 7th. Would it be possible to re-pull that permit and apply it to that situation, or would you like an entirely new permit?
I don't care. That's up to the township to
Leave that
do.
up to them.
You
I-
want a new permit? Okay.
I presume they might have denied it since the sign was up already and you had to go through zoning.
Okay, not a problem.
You
That's
agree
fine.
to? Okay, any questions? Oh, and it's no lighting on the sign, plus our standard conditions were placed on that.
And that they have 30 days.
And they have the 30 days, no additional building or freestanding identification. Any comments, discussion, gentlemen? I only have one. I also agree with Mr. Hanson, as I agreed with his initial vote. The only difference is I do prefer that we reuse old buildings as much as possible. Bless you. And I'm glad that this is happening. I also have a problem with applicants or any type of building that takes place, the permits are not gotten before the work is done. And I'm biting my tongue on that one. Since this sign does blend in with the historical significance of this building, I think it is a betterment to the community. I would also agree with Mr. Hanson. I do not think, and I've driven by there specifically to look at this, that unless you're right in front of that sign, you cannot see it. Also, I presume since you live there, you know how to get there. I would also presume anybody else in today's society that would want to potentially live in that building and or visit someone in there would have the directions or the knowledge to use technology to get to it. But again, I think it is, in this case, a benefit to the community. That's why I'm prefacing that with my vote. Mr. Hanson?
As I said earlier, I like these types of signs. I'm a big firm believer of building signs that are not lighted in favor of freestanding lighted signs and everything else. I hate sign pollution. And I agree, I like the adapted reuse. I just found no compelling reason because of lack of a hardship, compelling hardship to grant it to you. Otherwise, I would have been 100% in favor of this. But because there's a lack of a hardship here, that's why I can't, I'm against.
Okay, Mr. Hanson.
Opposed.
Mr. Luce.
In favor.
Mr. Kyle.
In favor.
Mr. Bingham.
In favor.
And again, I will vote in favor based on my prior comments. Your request has been granted with the conditions so stated. And thank you. Now that the case is totally closed, I will say one other thing. If this was early on in the process and a permit had not been granted, I would have voted no, for the standpoint that I've seen it over my years of sitting on this board where too many builders and developers have come in after they have done the deed and begged for forgiveness. I have a problem with that. But as this thing has progressed along to the extent it is, I'm taking that into consideration. But
Thank you.
again, if this was something else other than that sign where it's located, I would have been a no vote. I just want to make that comment.
I can tell you that if in the early process, when you'd been before this board and you told me you were gonna put that sign on that building, I would have had no problem proving it.
I know you all are. I know. And one thing being transparency, I like this. Not just because it's what we were. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Good night. Ms. Porter, could you just stay 1 second till we go off? I want to have a question that has nothing to do with the case. No, please. Beth, any other thing for this evening? Cases next month.
Nothing at this time.
Oh, God, you've been hanging around Nate too long.
There truly isn't at this time. I don't know anything.
He always says that too, and
When's your deadline?
Can't,
This week?
No,
you
Yeah.
can't foresee what's gonna happen in the next 3 days?
gotta be better than that.
Always slip one in at the last
At the
second.
last minute.
Okay,
You say you don't have any yet?
No, there isn't
So
anything.
you're gonna wait till next week on Friday and say, yep, you're good for another case. Great.
I think we move it up.
17th. You're okay, Cheryl? Jason, 17th, board, everybody okay for the 17th in case Beth contacts us? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Oh, that's my wedding anniversary. I'm gonna miss that one again. I've done it for all these years. Why not one more?
Enjoy it.
Listen.
She wants to do, yeah.
Between work and meetings over the years, counting this one, I have made 2 wedding anniversaries. I've made 1 birthday.
Oh,
And as I tell her, if I'm not there to give her the gift, she doesn't get anything. So, she's still married to me. With that, well, she gets it later. I just don't give it to her on that day to hold it. With that, this meeting stands adjourned. You live in that building? What about trains? Noise?
Are you in the western